With the loss of Arik Armstead, San Francisco needed to address their defensive tackle position in this year's free agency. They did this first by adding Jordan Elliott before recently trading for Maliek Collins. I've already covered the addition of Jordan Elliott, so if you wanted to watch that video, I'll link it here. But in this video, I want to focus on the trade that sent a 7th round draft pick in exchange for Maliek Collins. To do this, I'll examine Collins' athletic profile before moving on to his film for this last year and then his career up to this point. Coming in at 6'2", weighing 310 pounds, Collins has pretty prototypical size for the defensive tackle position. In combination with that size, he has a unique blend of speed, quickness, and strength. He ran his 40-yard dash in 5.03 seconds, his 10-yard split in 1.79 seconds, and put up the bench press 25 times at the combine. Starting out with this Tennessee game, I want to focus on how prolific Collins is as a pass rusher, and he's only getting started. Here, for instance, you can see how he shoots inside as quick as he can, and as soon as he notices the guard lunges at him, he has great hand usage to throw him off. And then his speed and quickness allows him to shoot upfield and get to the quarterback. When I'm watching Maliek Collins film, the first thing that really becomes obvious is his hand usage. It's borderline elite, and I think this is in large part thanks to his high school days as a state champion wrestler. It really helps you work on grabbing the opponent's hands, fighting off opponent's hands, and even understanding momentum as well as throws. But we're not to his high school days just yet. Jumping back to this Tennessee game, I want to focus on how Collins is able to set up a perfect stunt to set up the sack. Here, for instance, you'll see how he's shooting interior and then finally gets into 55's face, which frees up this other defensive tackle, and then he even is able to get on the sack. I'm sure when Kris Kocurek was watching this, he was delighted. Collins sacrificed himself for this play, but also was able to fight off 2 blockers to get in on the sack. In addition to Collins' unselfish nature and hand usage, I also noticed how he had great awareness on the field. On this play, for instance, he understands Derek Carr stepping up in the pocket and then finally crushes him on the sack. Bouncing forward to this Panthers game, I thought Collins showed off his motor and hand usage nicely on this play. For instance, when you're watching how he's fighting 63 on this play, he doesn't initially win, but because of his nice hand usage as well as motor, he finally does get off 63 to get the tackle on Young. Once you know Collins' background as a wrestler, it's hard not to see on the field. Take this play for instance, where he just throws off this guard before once again crushing Young. One thing I think Kris Kocurek in San Francisco can do to really help out Collins' game is mix in a lot of stunts. When you're watching him on stunts, he's able to utilize his hand usage as well as his quick burst to really put pressure on opposing teams' quarterbacks. Moving forward now to this Jets game, I think we get to see one of Collins' best moves, and that's his swim move. I want to focus on how he locks up with 78, and with his hands, he's shooting them inside. And then finally when he gets the leverage he needs, he swims back over 78, and thanks to his quickness, 78 doesn't really have a chance on this play, and then Zach Wilson gets a face full of turf. Even when Maliek Collins can't get to your quarterback, he's often hitting him, leading to inaccurate throws and a sped up clock throughout the game. In this Falcons game, for instance, I want to focus on how Collins doesn't fight off 1 block but 2. He shoots outside before squeezing the scap hard and then getting pressure in the quarterback's face. As we watch this again, Collins does a great job getting skinny enough to get through this gap and then hitting the quarterback. Moving over to this Bengals game, we get another view of Collins' signature swim move. Here, once again, you see how he ties up this guard and then uses his momentum and strength to pull the guard inside before swimming him. And I think he did a nice job of not getting a defensive holding on this play. He disguises it pretty well, and then you can see how he's also able to get a hit on Joe Burrow. And even though Maliek Collins didn't get a stat on this play, you can see how it clearly affects the trajectory of this ball, potentially saving a 20-yard pickup. And even though Maliek Collins is much shorter than Arik Armstead, he also can bat down his fair share of passes. And while Collins is thought of as a pass rush specialist, the fact is he's also a beast against the run and can definitely play 3 downs if San Francisco is asking. On this play specifically, I want to focus on how Collins is able to shed the double team by getting low using his hands and then blows up Derrick Henry for a loss of 3. Moving on to Henry's next run, I think Collins does a great job on this play of demonstrating his strength. He engages with 77, drives him back even, and then at the last second when Henry tries to pull back inside, he throws off his man to get another tackle on Henry, and Henry is only picking up 2 on this play. But Collins isn't just strong, he's quick and fast as I mentioned. Here for instance, watch how he's chasing down Alvin Kamara from the opposite side of the field, and he's the first one to actually get a tackle on him. One of the most challenging positions for a defensive lineman to be is backed up to their goal line, but here Collins does a great job of fighting off this guard to stop the running back for no gain. In a similar way, it could be a nightmare when the quarterback takes off at the goal line, but Collins once again does a great job of identifying this and then stops him before running in for a touchdown. The most impressive part probably for me about Collins though is how even when he's double teamed, he does not move. Right here, he's basically a wall, and then once the double team does break off, he's able to get a tackle on the running back. Outside of just meeting a running back in the hole though, Collins also does a great job of squeezing his gap. On this play for instance, he squeezes it interior just in case number 25 tries to bounce it back like he does, and then he gets lit up. One thing I definitely wouldn't recommend running when Maliek Collins is on the field though are draws, especially quarterback ones where Maliek Collins is able to get in the backfield quickly before slamming your quarterback. While Maliek Collins set a career high in sacks last year with 5, I don't think it tells enough of his story, so I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into the 28-year-old's full career up to this point to see what San Francisco can expect out of him going forward. Collins started his football career in Kansas City, Missouri, where he attended Center High School, and he was a phenomenal athlete. Collins competed both in football and wrestling as I alluded to earlier. As a junior, he had a 48-5 record in wrestling and advanced all the way to the state quarterfinals. As a senior, Collins even had a better record, winning all 48 competitions he competed in on his way to a state championship. So now when you're watching plays like this, you understand why I bring up his hand usage and his ability as a wrestler. But Collins wasn't just phenomenal on the mat, he also was fantastic as a defensive tackle. He posted 102 tackles as a senior, 43 for loss, including 15 sacks and 5 forced fumbles. After his time in high school, Collins was ranked as a 3-star recruit and had offers from Missouri, Iowa State, Iowa, Kansas, and Nebraska. Ultimately, he did decide to enroll at Nebraska. As a freshman, he played in 12 games and had 1.5 sacks. The next year, he started and led the team for tackles with loss with 14. He also finished second on the team with sacks with 4.5 and had 13 quarterback pressures. As a junior, he started in 12 games, but he saw a lot more double teams, but he still was able to register 29 tackles, including 2.5 sacks and 6 quarterback pressures. After his junior season, Collins did decide to forego his senior season and entered into the 2016 NFL Draft. So with this, scouts decided to dive a little bit deeper into Maliek Collins' film, and they saw strengths as well as weaknesses. For his strengths, he was extremely explosive as well as demonstrating great lateral movement. And as we've highlighted in this video, he has borderline elite hand usage. They're always working. And when everything was clicking for Collins, it appeared he had elite defensive tackle potential. There were also questions about Collins' play strength moving over from the college level to the pro level. Ultimately, a lot of scouts thought Collins would be successful based on where he would go. He really needed a system that allowed him to utilize his athleticism to get up the field and pressure opposing teams' quarterbacks, much like San Francisco's wide 9 system, which funny enough is ran by Chris Kasarik, who did some scouting on Collins back in this draft with the Lions. And Collins even remembers this, saying how he's looking forward to joining Chris Kasarik. He's been looking forward to it his entire career, in fact. But we're not there yet. Collins didn't join Chris Kasarik in the 2016 draft, but rather the Cowboys when they selected him in round 3, pick 4. From 2016 to 2019, Collins would play with the Cowboys, registering 14.5 sacks before moving on to the Raiders in 2020. Collins then moved on to the Texans from 2021 to 2023, where he registered 11 sacks and 4 passes deflected, including 1 interception even. So now being traded to San Francisco, the real question is, what can we expect out of Maliek Collins going forward? Initially, the first thing that stands out is how Collins is a perfect fit for San Francisco's wide 9 system. And much like Collins has been looking forward to working with Chris Kasarik, I'm sure Kasarik has been looking forward to working with Collins. If you you look at his first step for instance, it's extremely quick, and in combination with that, he has elite hand usage. And while Collins is known as more of a pass rush specialist, the fact is, he's also dominant in the run game, so Kasarik could be looking at the 28-year-old as a moldable ball of clay, and he is going to unlock his full potential. But ultimately, these are just my thoughts on San Francisco trading for Maliek Collins, and I'd like to hear your thoughts down below, and it would also mean a ton if you liked and subscribe, and as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.